hold this. Can you hear me now? All right. So that song is by a guy named Matt Kearney, and it's about the Oregon Duck football team, and I'm an Oregon fan, so that's great walk-up music for me, but I got distracted, so let me get back to what I'm here to talk about. Dave asked me to talk about the future, and thank you all for, or those of you that are left, for sticking around this long. My goal today is to be somewhat thought-provoking, and so hopefully I'll do that. And so for me to talk about the future, I want to start by talking about the past. So as Dave mentioned, I worked at Amazon a long time ago, and it was by far the worst career decision made in this room for me to leave Amazon when I did. But before I did, I happened to be at CES with Jeff Bezos. CES is kind of like SEMA for the technology industry in Vegas every year. And we were meeting with the guy who ran North America for HP. HP had given us $10 million to say we ran on HP at Amazon and to be the anchor tenant of the computer store I was launching. I was a general manager launching our computer business. And we walk into this fancy suite in Vegas. First thing Bezos says is, "Hey, I got a problem with the way you guys run your business." Not the ideal way for me running the computer business to start this conversation. But he said, "I was trying to buy this printer that you could map the solar system with. I'm big into space. I wanted to map the solar system. And I went on Amazon and it wasn't there. So I was pissed that it wasn't on Amazon, but I figured, all right, I'll go to my new partner, HP.com, and I'll go buy it there." So he went on HP.com and it wasn't there. And so he went to this guy and he said, "I don't understand why I should do business with a company that doesn't even put their own products on their website." And the guy said, "Jeff, we sold 2 of those printers last year. They cost $10,000. And Jeff said, "Well, you would have sold 3. And so his point was that he wanted to map the entire world of products, the entire catalog, everything at Amazon. And that if you could find the one thing you were looking for, whether it's a $10,000 printer or whatever the obscure Oregon Duck thing is, whatever it is, you would be a customer for life. I argued with Jeff once 6 months before that about if we were just 3 or 4 standard deviations from the mean, so we had more selection than anybody else by an order of magnitude, we would win. And he said, "You're missing the point. The point is we're going to change retail fundamentally. It's not going to exist the way it does anymore when we get done." This was 20 years ago. We're going to be able to sell a Barbie for less than Toys R Us can because we don't need the fancy package. It's a better discovery experience online. Books were better. Everything's going to be better. We're going to fundamentally change retail, and the whole retail world's going to be different by the time we're done. So if you fast forward 20 years, the whole retail world is very different. And Amazon, not Amazon alone, but Amazon is a large part of it because of his view of how to take inefficiency, I'll call it, or solve a consumer problem better than other people were. And so I don't know what the auto industry is going to look like 20 years from now, but I do know we're kind of in the beginning of that same kind of phase of what I'm going to call disruption or technology change that's going to enable a whole lot of different things. So I don't have a bunch of research, although I disagree on many things with that the last 2 speakers talked about, but they lead into kind of what we do. So our NPS at very careful, hit my mic. Our NPS at YourMechanic is 90 on a delivered service. It's the same like Tesla's is 90 on a delivered service. And our NPS of our technicians is 50. So we survey our technicians just like we survey our customers. So our technicians are super happy. I turned down 9 out of 10 technicians that apply to be on our platform. And the customers, when they get the service done in their driveway, think it's kind of a game-changing experience. As we talked about, though, that's super convenient to get it done in your driveway, but what we do is really game-changing. We'll see if I can work this thing, too. Is we've moved into, we think the future of transportation, at least where I am, I'm out in California, I do drive a Tesla, and my daughter drives a Chevy Bolt, so I like having what I call it, a gas station in my driveway, although I don't have to deal with the weather where we live either, so it's a little bit easier, is that we don't believe that the Uber and Lyft drivers are going to own their own cars forever, and we do believe if you survey and talk to younger generations, they understand that owning a car is not the American dream like people my age believe. I love having a car. I'm always going to have a car. But people in densely populated urban areas, especially younger people, do not believe in owning their own vehicle. So they're looking for alternative models. And it's not going to happen that the Uber and Lyft drivers are going to own those cars and put all those miles on them. There'll be different kinds of models. Autonomous someday, we think that's a long time away from happening. But as the world moves to shared mobility, there are going to be different kind of ownership models, right? My biggest customer in this space is Fair, who just announced they were laying off 40% of their staff, but they were also totally disrupting an entire industry. You know, the auction guys, they can't get cars through fast enough anymore. They're coming off of leases from the dealers into Fair and Get Around and Icon Automotive and Hertz and all these people buying these cars to then lease to the Uber and Lyft drivers. But that's sort of phase one of a different ownership model. And the thing about whether it's, you know, people getting from point A to point B in someone else's vehicle, or more importantly, nobody wants to actually go anywhere anymore. They want everything to come to them. So whether it's getting their packages to their house, their food to their house, their liquor to their house, their dog grooming. My latest customer does mobile x-ray techs. So they come to your house and do x-rays at your house instead of you having to go somewhere to get an x-ray done. You can't imagine a category where there's not somebody trying to figure out how to do it in people's driveways as opposed to the customer having to go somewhere. All those vehicles are revenue-producing vehicles beyond the fact, like we're not just, you think about Amazon, you're talking about a guy driving a car somewhere. You're talking about x-ray technicians, like which are paying them per hour is a lot more, or Glam Squad, which comes and does your wife's blowouts at your house. That's skilled labor that you're paying more to. Those vehicles you want to keep on the road. So the current model of those, I'll click one more, is that you take it to a shop or take it maybe to a dealer, and to do that, you have to transport the vehicle there. The vehicle's there for a period of time. Then you have to transport the vehicle back. Even if you sit there and wait for it to be done and it's something like an oil change, you're paying roughly $25. It's very generous in transport fee both ways. And your vehicle is out of service for a period of time. This example, you're sitting there waiting for an oil change, and we're saying this is an old Amazon example. They say that delivering packages is worth $600 a day to them. So being out of commission for half a day means that you're losing $300 in revenue. And that's if your driver hikes it there, sits there, waits for the car, goes back and delivers it. If it's gone, if it's dropped off and picked up the next day, then it's $600 of revenue. And if you know, some of the revenue producing fleets get up to $1,500, $2,000 a day in revenue. So what we do, just like we come to your house and repair your car in your driveway, we go to the hubs and repair those vehicles at night when they're off hours. That is what the way we do business development at YourMechanic is. We wait for the whales to wash up on shore is the way we describe it. So we get inbound requests from customers like Fair or traditional fleets like Verizon, who's a customer of ours, saying that we can't keep our vehicles on the road. The drivers aren't complying with scheduled maintenance. We're having vans blow up all the time. Can you help us? And the way we help them is we come to the point of need and we keep that vehicle on the road. If you think of a world of autonomous where the vehicles cost even more, keeping that asset utilized becomes more and more important. So there's no kind of sector of where we work that is not being affected by what we do. And we're not saying that YourMechanic's going to completely transform, I don't have the same kind of capital Bezos had at Amazon, transportation or service the way that Amazon has in retail, but I can tell you that virtually every OEM has come to see us because they do surveys with their customers, and their customers want mobile. And they know, everyone talked about how loyal EV customers are. Well, Tesla customers are loyal in part because Tesla repairs your car in your driveway. So most of Tesla's service is done in people's houses versus their service centers, if you can get parts, that is. And so that the OEs have come to see us and they say our customers want this. We got to figure out how to do this with our dealer partners. Now there are some that haven't come to see me, like Daimler. Daimler invested $100 million in a company that was on Shark Tank called RepairSmith, and RepairSmith is trying to bring the mobile experience of a dealership to a customer's house. They started in LA and now they're trying to work through other markets, but it's the same concept. The concept is they know their customers want this and they're trying to figure out how to deliver it to them. And so we're not, we know there's conflict as far as the margin that's in fixed ops, and we don't do all services. We're not going to pull your transmission out. We're not going to pull your block out in your driveway. But we also know this is what customers want. Our customers know this is what customers want. So whether it's fixing consumers' cars, whether it's shared mobility, the future of how this is going to be done is you service the car at the point of need. Over time, we believe as cars get smarter and smarter, you can remotely diagnose what's wrong with the vehicle. then you can roll the repair to wherever the vehicle's at. So in a subscription model or a car share model or a ride share model, instead of the vehicle being hauled somewhere, serviced, hauled back, it can be repaired within hours at the point of where the repair is needed, which is where somewhere it's going to be rented again. And then the consumer can go get in the next car and take it and go somewhere else. So that started with like Hertz Local and Zip Cars, but it's expanding through every kind of touch point model-wise. And our view of that is that trend continues over time. As cars get better, they're on the road longer, they get smarter. More and more you will see consumers and fleets and whoever owns these kind of subscription models having cars repaired at point of need instead of taking the car somewhere to be repaired. Let's see, what else could I want? I'm out of time. So why don't, let me give you one more slide, and then we can talk about any questions people have. So my last slide is that to do this, it's hard, right? As you guys know, your business is hard. Comcast has spent hundreds of millions of dollars trying to get the cable guy to your house within a 4-hour window. We've spent 7 years trying to get our guy to your house at a particular period of time. If I tell you I'll come in the mornings, my conversion goes down. My customers want to know I'll be there at 10 a.m. on Tuesday. So if you go on our platform and you need a brake pad job on your 2014 Honda Accord in Chicago, we'll tell you instantly how much that's going to cost and when we can do it. And when we say when we can do it, that means we'll have the right skilled mechanic and the right parts available at that time, and we'll show up at 10 a.m. on your house, and your house that day, and we'll stick to the price we say. So we don't give estimates, we give quotes that we honor, and customers, especially the younger generation, expects to be able to do everything on their phone and to have it come to them and to have it be predictable and transparent up front. And I think a large part of why our technology makes our consumers happy is because of the transparency and upfront part of it. So I encourage everybody in the space to think through what it is that customers really want, not necessarily how you get more money from your customers, but how you delight your customers. And in the previous slide, we were showing, the previous speaker was talking about different NPS scores. To me, that's the only thing that fundamentally matters. Well, I mean, my target margin matters too, but if I can hit my target margin and have my NPS be high, that to me is the key of a sustainable, long-standing business. And I'll wrap it with that. Thanks.